All right, everyone, it is 10 o'clock. First, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to attend this webinar. This is the part of the employer workshop series for DePaul University, our Career Center, and it is focused on best practices in diversity in recruiting. So my name is Danielle Crocker. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Assistant Director of Employer Engagement and Diversity Recruiting within the Career Center here at DePaul. In this role, I connect employers with students in two different career communities: business, entrepreneurship, and consulting, and technology and design. My other focus is partnering with employers on strategies to engage and recruit diverse talent. Before we start, I'd like to share with you one of the quotes I've used as inspiration for the work I do within the DEI space. If you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come here because your liberation is bound with mine, then let us work together. So just to give you an overview of what we're going to discuss today, we're going to talk about what is diversity recruitment. We're also going to look at some best practices. There are many, but we're just going to focus on 4 of them today, and some recommendations that we have. We're also going to look at some challenges and opportunities for 2022. And then we're going to take a look at diversity recruiting here at DePaul. So regardless of where you are in your organization is on this journey, it's always important to ensure there is a shared understanding around the language of diversity. Inclusivity is about calling in, and one of the ways we do that is through language. So before we start talking about diversity recruiting, we're going to go over some foundational terms and ensure there is a shared understanding about what these words mean. Diversity, for the context of this conversation, encompasses the range of similarities and differences each individual brings to the workplace, including but not limited to age, color, ethnicity, family structures, gender identity or expression, language, national origin, neurological variation, race, religion, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, and veteran status. Equity is the fair treatment, access, opportunity, and advancement for all while striving to identify and eliminate inequities and barriers. And inclusion is the process of creating a working culture and environment that recognizes, appreciates, and effectively utilizes the talents, skills, and perspectives of every employee. And then last but not least, unconscious bias. This is what happens when we act on a subconscious, deeply ingrained bias, stereotype, or attitude and form from our own inherent human cognition, experiences, upbringing, and environment. So now that we have some shared understanding around these terms, we can move to defining diversity recruiting. So diversity recruiting can mean a lot of different things based on perspective, where you sit in the organization. But to again create shared understanding, there are 3 characteristics of diversity recruiting that we'll use for today's purposes to define it for us. Diversity recruiting actively and intentionally seeks out candidates who are part of historically underrepresented and or under-recruited groups. It takes steps to ensure the recruiting, hiring, and onboarding processes are inclusive. It also removes or mitigates the effects of unconscious bias and or any systemic barriers that prevent all candidates from having equal opportunities during the hiring process. But what diversity recruiting is not is a standalone solution, but it should be an important part of your broader diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy. In order to be successful in diversity recruiting, you need to build a clear strategy. Having a strategy allows you to define your goals, accountabilities, action items, and success measures for attracting, engaging, assessing, and hiring diverse talent. In addition to helping you accomplish your diversity recruiting goals, having a strategy is even more important in the current market. According to a recent Glassdoor survey, 76% of job seekers and employees report that a diverse workplace is an important factor when evaluating companies and job offers. The next generation to enter the workplace is actually more racially and ethnically diverse than the ones before. And then based on recent job openings, labor and labor turnover survey, JOLTS for short, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's a candidates market. And an effective diversity recruiting strategy allows you to tap into new talent pools and differentiate yourself to candidates. To help you build your diversity recruiting strategy, we'll talk about 4 best practices in diversity recruiting and share some recommendations and tips. The first one is conducting an organizational self-assessment. The second one would be setting the right goals and deciding how your organization will measure your progress towards them. The third would be cultivating a culturally competent workplace. And then the final one is growing and strengthening your diverse talent pipelines. One of the most important best practices as you do this work is to look inward. You can do this by conducting an organizational self-assessment. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You want to think about why you want to hire diverse talent. This will be your North Star and should be clearly communicated internally and externally. It should also provide you with some benchmarks that can help you shape your goals. You should also ask yourself if your desire to recruit diverse talent is reflected in your own missions, values, and culture. Candidates can tell if your recruiting efforts are just based on compliance or to possibly counteract previous discriminatory behavior. Next, we recommend you evaluate how your company stands in terms of diversity. You should gather some basic demographics across all levels of the organization. Consider conducting climate surveys to find out what your employees think about your workplace culture, environment, and/or current DEI efforts. It may not be a comfortable process, but progress begins in discomfort. Once you've taken a look at your organization, check out the demographics in your specific industry and the geographic areas your offices reside in. What are the industry standards on diversity? Is your organization behind, ahead, or in line with them? Lastly, take a look at what your employees, current and former, are saying about you online. You may find criticism, but reframe that feedback and see if there are any areas of opportunities you may have overlooked. Our next best practice is to set the right goals and decide how to measure your progress towards them. Notice I put right in quotes. That's because just like each individual is unique, so is each organization's DEI journey. Your goals might look different than another organization, and that's okay. However, we do recommend that every organization sets SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And those should be grounded in data. This creates accountability and increases the likelihood of long-term behavioral and procedural change throughout your organization. Let's take a look at a common goal organizations might start with. We want to hire diverse talent. While this is a good start, some of the questions I would ask you are, what underrepresented groups are you targeting? Why do you want to hire underrepresented talent? What roles are you looking to fill? A smarter goal would be, diversity is a core value at our company, and we believe the cultures, unique talents, skills, and perspective of our employees strengthen our organization and support innovation and business success. However, based on a recent audit, only 2% of our accounting management team are Black professionals. Based on industry data, 5% of accounting managerial roles in the Midwest region are filled by Black professionals. So our goal is to increase representation of Black professionals in these roles to 7% by 2025. To achieve this goal, we are currently recruiting Black professionals for 2 accounting managerial positions. This is specific. Black professionals in accounting managerial roles. It's also measurable. You have both internal and external data. It's actionable. And by saying you want to increase representation by 7%, it's also relevant as it ties into your goals and values. And finally, it is time-bound with a deadline of 2025. It also gives me, as your diversity recruiting partner, the information I need to help you build a diversity recruiting strategy here at DePaul. So I know you've heard this before, but diversity recruiting is an ongoing process, not a one and done effort. So we recommend you establish some key performance indicators or KPIs that allow you to measure your progress over time. Then take it one step further and find ways to tie them back to your business goals. This will help you determine if your efforts are successful and identify any areas where you may need more resources and or buy-in in order to move the needle forward. As you think about what makes sense for your organization to measure, here are a few examples of some good KPIs that we think would be helpful. Looking at the percentage of diverse candidates at every step of the recruiting funnel. Also looking at diversity across various levels of your organization. And finally, looking at retention and performance data for diverse employees. Now, sometimes, despite your best efforts, you may fall short of your goals. However, don't let this stop you from being transparent in reporting out your progress. Remember, we measure what we value. So your decision to be transparent sends a clear message to your employees and potential candidates about what your organization values. So we talked about data, goals, KPI, and reporting. They are all important, but the work to create a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace environment does not stop there. As an organization becomes more diverse, the need for cultural competency increases. So let's take a step back and define that, at least for the purposes of this conversation. Cultural competency refers to an organization's respect, understanding, and knowledge of different cultures and perspectives. To cultivate this in your own organization, we recommend investing in regular training and educational resources that increase awareness and understanding of cultural differences. They should also reduce microaggressions and bias, and establish a baseline on the importance of cultural competency in your organization. Again, each organization is unique, but there are a variety of training and resources available for free and through consultants and vendors in this space. Some of the ones that I found really helpful, LinkedIn Learning has some great certificates on DEI. There's an inclusion training, so a very brief one by Limeade that's free. You can also consider curating a self-serve digital resource library with articles, ebooks, videos, podcasts on diversity and various identities and lived experiences. We also recommend you find ways to celebrate different cultures, perspectives, and backgrounds. Human beings have a deep desire to be known and seen. By celebrating what makes each of us unique, it helps create an inclusive workplace environment where employees and candidates, they actually want to belong to. A couple of examples that we found helpful would be encouraging employees to form ERGs or BRGs. So those are employee resource groups or business resource groups. You can also compile a universal holiday calendar to create awareness about various holidays celebrated within different cultures or religions. So, talked about a lot, but here's where the rubber meets the road, your diverse talent pipeline. It's the moment that you've been preparing for. So it's important that you take time to grow and strengthen your diverse talent pipelines. As you look to grow them, we recommend taking a hard look at them to see if there are any bottlenecks or leaks. Meaning, are there any practices, processes, procedures that are exclusionary or create unnecessary obstacles for diverse talent? One that we found interesting is how GPA requirements are causing some diverse talent to self-select out of the application process. However, according to NACE, it seems that many employers are catching on, and only 57% of them are using GPA to screen graduates. In addition to GPA requirements, here are some easy ways to strengthen your diverse pipeline. You can provide interview questions in advance. You can create channels and/or communities that allow prospective candidates to connect and talk with current employees with shared identity or lived experiences. You can also offer accommodations for all candidates throughout the hiring process. Another recommendation is to identify institutions and/or organizations where there are significant concentrations of diverse students and/or professionals. Some great places to start are universities, community colleges. The National Association of Black Accountants is a great organization, Out in Tech, and Disability In. You can also check out diverse student organizations within places like DePaul, nonprofits, and even high schools. So we talked about diversity recruiting, the strategy, and I know many of you are dealing with challenges and as you carry this out. And so we wanted to talk about and highlight just a few of those and also reframe them as opportunities. Our office is really in a unique position because we work with both the talent and employers. So we work with students and employers. So we thought it would be helpful to really kind of dig into some of these challenges that we've heard you talk about and we've heard from our students. One of the biggest challenges this year is Zoom fatigue, but it's also a great opportunity. This is a time to be innovative and think about combining a traditional recruiting opportunity like a career fair with a skill-focused boot camp. Another big challenge we hear is that it's a tight labor market, but consider this an opportunity to leverage what sets you apart from your competition, whether that be your culture, benefits, or even mentorship programs. One last challenge we see, which is one of the reasons you're here, is difficulty meeting diversity recruiting goals. However, if you are able to invest time to create connection to and value for diverse candidates, then this can be a great opportunity for you, and we're here to help. We have a dynamic team of dedicated industry experts who are here to partner with you on your diversity recruitment strategy. My colleague, Debbie Kaltman, works with employers who are looking to recruit and engage with students in our education, nonprofit, and government, as well as the healthcare and science area and the media, communication, arts, and entertainment career communities. She is also the rock star behind our career fairs. I work with employers who are looking to recruit and engage with students in our business, entrepreneurship, and consulting career community, as well as our technology and design career community. I also focus on partnering with employers like you who want to recruit and engage amazing and talented diverse talent at DePaul. Both Debbie and I are here to partner with you in support of your diversity recruiting strategy by providing resources to educate you and your team on inclusive recruiting strategies, providing best practices on professionalism standards, and then providing opportunities to connect you to underrepresented and under-recruited students. Our mighty team of two accomplishes this by working with you to create a tailored recruiting strategy that combines some of our traditional or more general recruitment opportunities, like posting on Handshake, with one of our customizable engagement opportunities, like our upcoming Here We Include Summit. If you'd like to learn more, please feel free to reach out to us individually or at recruitstudents@depaul.edu. We're looking forward to connecting with you all.